Hi again everyone, welcome to this lesson for Psycho by System of a Down. The song starts with that driving bass riff. When the drums come in, we're playing 16th notes on the hi-hats, quarter notes on the kick drum, and there's some sort of either accent or an open hi-hat on the end of every beat. Something like this. It's up to you whether you play those open hi-hats or not. I think it sounds pretty close to the recording, but you could just keep the hi-hats slightly open and then just play an accent on all of those ends instead. We play that same pattern for 8 bars, and then in the next 4 bars, the hi-hats just open up and we're just crescendoing into our first snare hits. Next up is the snare drum hits, and they just go 1 E and, 3 E and, 1 E and, 3 E and, with kick drums playing 8th notes underneath those snare drums. I think the easiest way to stick it is to start every single snare drum with your right hand. That way it'll line up nicely with your kick drums, and then there's no confusion about right hand or left hand or anything like that. I'll play it for you slowly so you understand what I mean. The next thing to look at is the verse groove, and the best thing about this verse is that every time a verse comes up in the song, this is exactly what we're going to play. There's a cymbal catch in the 4th bar, and the same fill happens every time in the 8th bar. Let me go through it now. If you're finding it hard to stay in time with that when it's up to speed, slow it right back and count 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. The kick drums and the snare drums are both on the 1 and the of every beat. Once you take it slowly, you'll get used to how it sounds, and then you'll be able to speed it up back to the speed of the song. Okay, moving on. Here's our first chorus. We're over on the ride cymbal, and the groove goes like this. As I said earlier, when we go back to the verse, it's exactly the same as what we just worked on. So that's great. Let's move on to the next chorus, which is just a little bit longer than the one that we just played. The next section has a slightly turned around snare drum, so it might sound a little bit funny at first, but once you practice it up, you'll definitely be able to nail it. After playing through that section, we go back through the verse, back through the chorus the way that we did it the second time, and then into that post-chorus section once again. The only difference is right at the end, there's a fill down the toms leading into the guitar solo. Now we're into the guitar solo, which leads us into the outro and the very end of the song, so we're almost there. I'll go through 8 bars at a time. The first 6 bars are pretty much the same, just the same groove repeated over and over, and then there's a little fill or a little change at the end each time. Here's the first 8 bars. The accents in the ride cymbal for that part are just leaning on the snare drum and the kick drum when they're being played, and it just kind of brings out an extra little bit of flavor in that groove rather than just playing straight through on the ride cymbal. Here's the next 8 bars of the guitar solo now. For the next 8 bars, the drum beat does change a little bit, but it's even simpler than what we were already playing. And here's the very last 8 bars of the song in a very similar style. And that brings us to the end of Psycho by System of a Down. Hopefully this breakdown gave you a few ideas and a few things to practice, and eventually you'll be able to get up and jamming the song. Have fun practicing that one, and I'll see you at the next lesson.